All right, so today we're going to talk about the 5 things from someone who's been in the fitness, health, and sports performance business for 15 years. I'm going to give you 5 tips that you should be looking for if you're looking to hire a personal trainer or a sports performance coach. All right, so here we go. So point number 1, you have to understand that certified does not mean qualified. Right. So what does that mean? Typically, you're going to see maybe a trainer, whether it's like on their social media or on a business card, you'll see their name, and then behind that, you're going to see some letters. Now, those letters stand for something, right? Sometimes they stand for a certain specific certification, and then it might even stand for an organization, right? So if you look at my name says Jerry Arias, and right before that, it has the letters CSCS. And what does that mean? It means I'm a certified strength and conditioning specialist, and that's through the NSCA, the National Strength and Conditioning Association. Now, there's a ton of certification institutions and agencies and companies that are out there. There's a lot of them that I have no clue what they even stand for. So I don't blame you as a potential client not knowing what they are. But you also have to realize that just because someone has those letters behind their names, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're qualified to train you. Right. So if you're looking, let's just say you're an athlete and you're looking for strictly sports performance related training, the CSCS is going to be very important into maybe making that decision whether or not you want to work with that coach or that trainer. Versus if you're looking for weight loss, the CSCS, even though it's to me it's a very important certification, it's not going to matter as much to you if you're looking just for weight loss. You're going to maybe look for something maybe in the realms of nutrition certification, certain personal training certification. Even there's some specific to weight loss and body composition and things like that. So like for instance, for me, if I have someone that's looking to compete in bodybuilding or physique training, I'm probably not going to work with that client. Actually, I'm not going to work with that client. I'm going to refer them to someone else who has much more experience in that form of training. I'm not going to have someone that I'm working with get ready for a show and teach them how to pose and do all that stuff. I'm just going to refer out. I'm willing to turn down some money because I know that's not the right client for me. And the best trainers are willing to do that. They're willing to pass on the short-term money, knowing that that's probably not the population that they're educated in or they're serving. Or if someone wants me to write a specific diet and they're for if they have diabetes and things like that, I'm going to refer them to a registered dietitian, because I'm not qualified to write that type of diet myself, right? So just understand the more letters that a person has behind their name, some of them they're actually really solid certifications. Some of them are just weekend things where there's no exam administered after the clinic or the conference. They just get that distinction if they attend the event, right? So what you as a consumer need to do is, one, you need to ask what do they mean, and then you need to go online and actually search what those certifications or those letters are all about. If you're looking for a specific type of training, then those letters are going to matter into factoring whether or not this person is a right coach or trainer for you. All right, so that's point number 1, is just understanding certified does not mean qualified, and we'll talk about a little bit more with experience on the last point. Point number 2, we're going to talk about this person that you're potentially going to invest a lot of money and time with should be evolving and growing as a trainer or as a coach. You want someone, for instance, if I'm, going to a specialist, a doctor or, a surgeon, I don't want them using the same tools or techniques that were around 40 years ago. I'm hopefully searching for a surgeon that's using new technology, new systems, new techniques. They're going to get this procedure that I'm looking for in a much more efficient and safe manner because we've evolved over time. You want that from your trainer. Now, you would think that every trainer thinks like that, but having been a trainer and coach for 15 years, I've worked with a lot of coaches and trainers who have never evolved. They don't take the time to read journals, attend clinics, webinars, and educate themselves. So don't think that every trainer or coach has that mindset. So what you're looking for, you want someone that's constantly evolving and growing as a trainer, as a coach, as a person, as a human, because what happens is if they get stuck in their old ways, and there's better ways to, let's just say you're looking for weight loss and, they're using a certain specific diet that they've been using for the past 30 years when maybe there's a better way to do it for your specific, your types of foods that you like to eat, but they're forcing you to eat a certain way. That's not evolving, right? A perfect question that you can ask a potential trainer or coach is, what are maybe two things that you have evolved from, right? Maybe you had a stance 5 years ago and now either you've moved away from that stance and you went from black to gray, or maybe you completely reversed. That shows me and should show you that coach or trainer is evolving. They're checking their ego, and they're not letting their ego prevent them from growing and learning. So for instance, for me, if you were to ask me, what's the best diet to lose weight, 6-7 years ago, I was working at a big box gym and I was giving seminars on low carb and how it causes insulin resistance. And that's at the time what I was so certain about. You have to do low carb. That's the best way and only way to lose weight. I've evolved from that. A few years later, started educating myself, went to grad school and learned that it's more about macronutrients and creating a caloric deficit, right? It doesn't mean low carb is not an option, but my mindset at the time was that's the only way to do it. So you have to find people that don't have an ego and to admit not necessarily that they were wrong, but hey, this is what I knew at the time. This is how much I've learned since then. Now this is my new stance. I think a lot of times people get criticized for changing their opinions on things, but to me that's a sign of people evolving and growing and learning new things, and they're constantly getting better. So that's a great question you can ask a potential trainer or coach is, what's something you have, one or two things that you have evolved from that used to be very certain on something, and you've evolved from it and maybe have a different opinion on, right? So number 3 is to check out their social media. So nowadays, this is much more relevant than it was about 10 years ago. So to me, when I'm, the people that I highly respect in our field and that I follow, they're literally showing us and showing you what their values and what they're passionate about, right? So if you go on to, let's just say one of the coaches that I follow, his name is Lauren Landau. He's now the coach for the Denver Broncos, but he was in the private sector. If you go to his Instagram, you're going to know that he is all about human performance, speed, agility, change of direction, mechanics. That's his thing. That's what he's all about. And if you're in the Denver, Colorado area, this is probably the guy you're gonna want to go to if you're a professional athlete looking to make a living in the NFL or any sport. He's the coach because you can just tell what he is all about, right? So if you go to this person's social media, you're gonna see what they value and what they're passionate about. You're gonna see, are they into, are they putting that they attended a conference or a clinic, or are they reading some new research that they're getting better at? Are they demonstrating, recognition for their clients, or are they just taking a bunch of selfies of themselves and, they're always partying and things like that? It's not necessarily that they're a bad person, but they're showing you their values up front. Right? Social media has allowed us to see what other people are into, what they're passionate about. And to me, that's an important decision. It shouldn't make or break your decision, but it should definitely have an influence. So number 3 is go to their social media, Instagram, Facebook, website, Twitter, all that stuff, and see what they're passionate about and what they're posting about. If they're posting tons of negative stuff, then that's probably someone you probably don't want to be around, right? So number 4 is make sure you have a meet and greet. Don't just get a phone call or via text message and have that conversation over the phone or via text where it's like, all right, how much is it? When are you available? Let's schedule it. I'll come in on Monday at 7 p.m. Make the phone call or text message or direct message on social media, and find a time so you can meet this person up front. right? Because what you're going to find is when you meet them up front, right away, you're going to see what they're all about as far as their communication skills, their social skills, and their overall professionalism, right? Are they on time? Do they, look like they just had a meal and they have all this stuff on their mouth? Are they professional with their handshake? Do they address you by their name, look you in the eyes? And then you also can get a chance to see the facility. My big thing is check out the bathroom, because if they don't have a clean bathroom, little detail like that, that's probably a facility or a coach you don't want to trust with 200 plus pounds on your back, and he's probably, or he or she is not paying attention to you, to your movement, right? So meet and greet them, and if you can, see if they offer a free training session, like an assessment or something like that. Some trainers offer that, some trainers don't. Doesn't mean that they're better or worse. It's just some are willing to offer that, and if they are, take advantage of it. It might not be a full-blown session, but it at least gives you a chance to see how they act on the floor, on the training floor. So do they pay attention? Do they not have their cell phone in their pocket? Are they not taking breaks in the restroom while you're on the floor? Just overall professionalism is that one session can tell you a lot about someone, right? Are they on time? Did they text you the day before to confirm? And then after the session, do they have water ready for you? Just things like that you can take with you to help you influence your decision if this person's the right fit. And overall, I also think it's important for, as a coach or a trainer, to meet you as a potential client to see if you're the right fit, right? So like, I don't want to work with someone who's super negative, who's always in a bad mood and things like that. I want someone that's going to uplift me and is willing to put in some work, that's all about it, that's ready to make this investment both in time, energy, and overall just financial investment, right? So it allows both parties to see if it's the right fit. So number 5, last but not least, is going to be price, right? Typically in this field, as far as coaching, training, and things like that, typically, not every single circumstance, but typically the more expensive coaches or trainers are going to be the more experienced and overall more educated coaches, because typically they know their value. Typically, if you're seeing someone just starting out, they're going to price themselves super cheap because they don't have that many clients to begin with, so they're willing to give discounts and do things for free. And again, if you're going for a budget, then you're going to expect budget coach, a budget trainer, right? And this is not every case, but in my experience, the people that can command more dollars per session are going to be the ones that are reinvesting in themselves, right? So a lot of times you might think, oh, he's charging $150 a session and he's just being greedy, or she's just being greedy. But what you don't realize is they might be reinvesting maybe 25% of that. I know for myself, I try to budget myself that about 15% of everything every month I set aside for continuing education, right? Whether that's buying a webinar, attending a conference, buying a book, investing in a subscription of a journal and things like that. So for me, 15% of what I make is set aside, and it's strictly used for reinvestment in my own development, right? A lot of coaches, young coaches, are not going to do that. They're going to get their certification and they're done with their knowledge, their experience, and their continuing education. What they're going to do is basically the bare minimum that it takes to keep that certification alive. So in our field, you have to typically recertify it every 2, 3, 4 years, and the not so good trainers are going to do the bare minimum. If it takes 20 CEUs to get recertified, they're going to get 20. The best trainers are going to, if it takes 20 to be the minimum, they're probably going to get 40 because they know the value that it brings. So typically, if you're paying more, you can almost reassure yourself that that coach or trainer is reinvesting in their continuing education. And that's typically why they charge more, because they know the time that and the money that they invest in themselves. They're the ones that are studying late at night. They're the ones when they have a 2-hour gap or when they have a cancellation of a client, and instead of hopping on Instagram and wasting time, they're picking up a book. They're watching some YouTube videos. They're looking at some journal articles, right? They're working on putting out some content. They're recording. So the best trainers are the ones that always reinvest in themselves, and typically that's why they're charging more. So you can get a taste when you have, a crappy trainer versus a great trainer. Right away the difference in why they're probably double or maybe even triple in price. So typically, not in all cases, but typically you're going to get what you pay for in this field. And if you're trying to maximize results, maximize your time, and maximize your overall experience with that person that you're going to be spending some time with, you want to make sure you got the best. Or hopefully, you know, this is your body, and you want someone that's going to actually care and take the time to make sure they're getting you and taking you to the right direction that you're looking for. And that's what you're paying for. So again, don't go cheap. And again, I know I have a bias and I consider myself relatively expensive compared to the market, but I know, and hopefully my clients know, how much time I put into my craft. And it's not just, all right, 9 to 5, go party, do whatever I got to do. No, it's 9 to 5, go to the library, go to the coffee shop, and continue to read and continue to develop my skill, my craft, so that way I can reinvest in myself. And essentially that money is going back to the client in getting better results or faster results, better training, better techniques, better programs, and things like that. So this is one of those things where price is typically typically linear with how good that trainer is. It's not always the case, because if you're working in a market that you can charge $200 a session and people will pay it because of the location, then that's typically what they're going to charge. But again, in most cases, you get what you pay for. So hopefully these 5 tips have helped you out and given you a little bit of influenced you a little bit to thinking a little bit more before you hire and invest your hard-earned money in a coach or a trainer. And it gives you an insider's look for someone who's been in this business for 15 years, now a business owner of 5 years. I've seen a lot of horrible trainers, and I know what that looks like. And I've also seen some amazing, great, phenomenal trainers, and I know what that looks like. So I can give you all a little bit of an inside view as far as how we think, and some 5 things that you should be looking before you invest your money. And that is, 1, certified doesn't always mean qualified. Number 2, make sure that coach is constantly evolving and growing them as a coach, as a trainer, as a person, as a human, and their overall professionalism. Number 3, check out their social media, see what they're about, because what they're posting is giving you that inside look into what they're passionate about and what their values are. And if it's not aligned with yours, probably not the choice. Number 4, make sure you meet them in person, because that's going to give you a much better insight as far as who they are as a person. And number 5 is to make sure you don't always go cheap, because you get what you pay for. And typically the higher price coaches are the ones that are reinvesting in themselves and making sure you're getting the best coaching possible. So hopefully this video helped you all out. If you have a comment, feel free to drop it below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe button, and reach out to me if you have any questions. What I am going to do is also link to an article that I wrote, typically discussing these 5 things. So it's a little bit more specific to certain things. It's a short article, but I'm going to link it to the video in the description below. You can click it, go to TitanEdgeAthletics.com, and you can take a read and get a little bit more expanded view on some of these topics in written form. So if you have the time, check it out. And again, feel free to reach out to me with any questions. Until next time, I'm Coach Jerry. Have a great day.